These, without a doubt, are some of the scariest cleats I own. And that's saying a lot considering I own these. Get it? Scary? Sully? Yeah. So today we're going to be reviewing the Adidas Adizero Electric football cleats. And I'm still getting used to Adidas' new naming convention this year. They changed everything year over year from last year, so still trying to get used to it. And as far as competition goes, these things are going head to head with the Nike Vapor Edge Pro 2s and the Under Armour Blur Smoke 2.0s. Before we jump into the review, give you a quick walk around. Alright y'all, I'm not even going to try and fake like I have this all figured out quite nicely. I'm a bad content creator. I forgot one of the cleats of the damn filming this. So the unboxing is simple. It's just a box. And you get the cleats in it. I don't even honestly have both cleats with me today. I really screwed up. I only got one here. So kind of is what it is. But that is not going to stop me from showing you all the details on this thing. So we're just going to do that instead today. We're just going to look at all the details and give you a little walk around before we jump back into the actual review. So this is going to be the cleat here. It's a super lightweight cleat. I have them in a size 12. But I normally wear a 12.5 for Adidas stuff. So I sized down half size to get a really good fit, and I'm going to talk more about in that part of the review. But this is the cleat. I got the all black version here. Now starting looking at the upper. So the upper on these things is two materials. There's like this overlay, which kind of gives it some durability, and then there's a fabric on the back. You can see everywhere on these cleats they put holes, and that's for weight reduction, which again we'll talk about later, but you can see this entire thing is just covered in holes. Now as far as any overlays in here to kind of give it a little more durability, we have kind of one overlay that kind of wraps around here, continues around over the toe box. So it goes over the toe box and then again wraps around a little bit lower on this side of the cleat and then continues around here. Now as far as overlays and graphics, we have an Adidas logo right here and it has a little bit of a sparkle to it. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that. And then the same thing, there's like a little teeny bit of sparkle over here. Now looking at the tongue of the cleat, the tongue is actually integrated. So the tongue is sewn in here. You can see it has like this mesh material attaches underneath the insole on the side there. Now looking around the back of the cleat here, we do have like this synthetic material. It's not like a leather, it's kind of like a shiny nylon material that kind of gives it a little more structure around your heel here. So that wraps around, and then this shiny plastic is all a part of the traction plate right here, which we'll talk to in a sec. So we have this upper here, then we have, this is a different material over here. This material has a thicker foam on the inside. So you can see there's that little bit of foam on there. And then as far as a heel tab goes, again, keeping the weight down, they have this really thin piece of fabric here that is sewn in, and it has a little waving at you. So if this thing pops up while you're running, those people will get waved at as you're flying by it, which is cool. This is gonna be the tongue. Again, the tongue itself is like a super, really thin material that kind of goes all the way down. It's basically just like a compression material almost. There's not a lot to it, but the top of the tongue here does have a little bit of padding, and then this offset Adidas logo with that same little bit of sparkle. Laces are just standard laces. On the inside of the cleat, we do have a nice, I don't think this is bounce because it's a little thinner than the bounce ones used to be, but nice insole. It's pretty rigid, good amount of stiffness to it. It doesn't kind of fold in half too easily. That you can also see here though, they did cut out a ton of little holes in this, again, weight reduction. And then this is, I'm assuming this means zero somehow, because it's kind of like a Z or a Z, and then it's also like a zero at the same time. So, and at a zero, lightest cleats in football. That's going to be what this is for here. Last thing I can show you guys quick. This is going to be the new traction plate. So this was the old traction plate here. This was a one-piece system. It still had that same kind of teardrop, how the teardrop is kind of two different materials. And then on the back, it used to have 4 triangle studs, and then on the front, or sorry, yeah, those are triangles. And then on the front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 triangle studs, and then some kind of grooves on the inside here. This one, same amount of studs, so we still have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in very similar locations. The only difference is on the heel now, we go down from 4 to 3, still kind of triangle shape on the back, but on the front now, they are diamond shaped. So it's still that same teardrop, kind of how it wraps around there. And you can see these are diamond shaped studs now with these kind of linear fins. I don't know if those do anything or if that's just a style thing, but yeah, we got these diamond shaped studs on here. And you can even see, because this is kind of looks like kind of two-piecey, they even cut out a bunch of holes out of this lower part of the traction plate to again reduce weight. really cool. They're really thinking ahead. Outside of that, that's gonna be it. This whole month is brought to us by Q-Collar. The Q-Collar is revolutionary, proven technology to help protect the brain from repetitive head impacts that you likely aren't thinking about when you play, but do add up over time. I can't cover it all here, so make sure to check out our full video that explains everything you need to know about the Q-Collar and how it can help you. You can see that even more guys around the NFL are starting to choose Q-Collar, like Baltimore Ravens' Derrick Henry and Buffalo Bills' Dalton Kincaid have both adopted to wearing it to help keep them safer and on the field. These days, getting a brand new helmet can cost you well over $1,000, which is not easy for any of you guys or even any parents out there to do. Plus, the Q-Collar protects the brain in ways a helmet just can't. If you're interested in taking further steps to protect your future, check out Q30.com to check out the Q-Collar. All right, so the first thing we're gonna talk about with these is comfort and fit. Because these things are so lightweight, I went a half size down to make sure I got a really snug fit in this upper, so I went from my normal 12.5 down to a 12. Now, in the past, that's almost been the opposite with Adidas cleats. I always go a half size up because I find sometimes their toe boxes are a little crowded for my wide feet, but these, I did not have that issue. The heel cup had this super nice material that wrapped around your heel and almost like hugged in your foot. So the mix between the toe box and the heel, I just felt locked into these things and super comfortable. Now, as far as comfort goes, you gotta remember these things are designed for maximum ground feel. And that means they're adding as little weight as possible and as little material between this traction plate and the top of your foot as you can. Now, the insoles on these are nice and thick, but definitely not something that is made for comfort as they cut a bunch of holes in them. But they did not skimp on the heel padding. Although these things are lightweight, I wore them for a ton of time. I did not get any blisters breaking them in. These things felt great. And the sewn-in tongue is super comfortable. It basically feels invisible on the top of your foot. I love this design. As far as comfort goes, I went and tested these out in 2 separate sessions, both for an hour and a half, one time on a short turf and one time on grass. For that first hour, I felt like these things were invisible on my foot. They were super comfortable, super lightweight. Basically just felt like I was running around with a bunch of traction. But as soon as I hit that like hour and a half mark or that last 15 minutes of my session, I really found that my feet were starting to get achy and sore just because these things do not have a lot of comfort or any cushion in them. They are made for ground field, that's what they're for, and I kind of hit the limit with these. Now, having said that, it was a turf field, which does not have a lot of give or cushion to it, and a really shitty grass field with a lot of dirt, which also does not have a lot of good give or cushion to it. Not great environments for testing comfort, but at the same time, that might be what you have as well. Next, we're to look at protection, and these things have none. They literally have holes in the upper to make them lighter weight. There's no protection. There's nothing like that on these. If someone steps on the top of your foot, you're going to feel it. Next thing we're going to look at is traction. Now, this is a new plate from Adidas this year. It has 7 diamond studs around the top and then 3 triangle studs at the back, and then these linear lines that run down it. I don't know if these linear lines are for traction or they're more for like to give it a little more bounce and kind of give this traction plate a little more structure. I'm assuming that's what it is. And the reason these things are scary is this traction plate. Now, when I went out and tested these on a turf field first, I found every time I would take a step, this thing gripped into the turf and did not let go. And that is the danger of a traction plate like this that has diamond studs. It is super grippy and it feels like turf has no give into it. It can be a pretty dangerous combo if you don't know what you're doing. Straight line speed, it is phenomenal. It grips in, it lets you go. But if you're someone like me that's not super good at getting out of breaks, making cuts, and you just don't have as much control, when these things stick in the ground, you are more susceptible to get hurt. I kind of sprained the top of my foot a bit when I was kind of cutting because I came into it and tried to get out of it a little too fast, and it just wasn't a great situation. So with diamond studs like these on turf, you have to be very careful and very controlled with your movement. Grass is a different story. Grass has a little bit of give to it, and these diamond studs do a great job of gripping into that grass, but the grass has a little bit of give, and that means it just performs a little better. Overall, this is a great grippy traction plate. You just gotta be careful. All right, next thing we're gonna talk about is weight. They've done everything possible to take as much weight out of this as they could. So the traction plate, they cut little holes, they turn the upper in this thing into a cheese grater, and then they even cut a bunch of holes in the insole to make these things as light as possible. Even the heel tab, not anything extra, not anything crazy, just a thin piece of material. Adidas will always have the lightest cleat in football. Next, we're gonna talk about stability. So if you have a cleat with a ton of traction and little weight, that means chances are there's not gonna be a lot of stability in this cleat. Now, they did try and add a little reinforcement around the upper here into your toe to kind of keep you locked in. But I did feel that when I was going in and out of cuts, with how much this traction plate stuck in the ground and with the lack of stability that's provided by the upper, I found my foot shifting a bit and the laces would slowly work themselves loose and I had to continually retighten the laces. Maybe in the future they could take this overlaid material here, maybe extend it just a little bit more. I don't think it'd add that much weight and might help out keep your foot a little more locked in. But yeah, like I said, straight line speed good, getting in and out of breaks, be careful. Next we're going to talk about is style. And as you guys know, Adidas is the king of colors. Like with these, they have between 20 to 25 colors they've already released for the year. They have all the team colorways, then they did the Coronation or the All-American Bowl, then they did the Speed Juice, and now they've done the Zumbas. So that means they have like at least 25 different colorways that have come out in these. Now, it's not to say they're all useful colorways. Like, no one will want, frankly, half of these. It's very hard to find a team that has like pink and purple like these Zumbas colorways. They're really cool. Adidas is the king of making all these different colorways and designs throughout the year, but probably about half of them are useful or might have value based on your team colorways. But again, Adidas, keep doing it. I love it from a content perspective. Now, as far as the actual like style goes of this, I'm pretty underwhelmed by it. It's really simple. They just have the Adidas logo on the inside, 3-stripe here. And I found with the silhouette of this thing, it felt a little too soccer cleaty for me. I just felt like it was kind of missing a lot. This is last year's cleat, and you can definitely tell this is a football cleat. It has more support. The materials are a little thicker, and yeah, it obviously weighs a little bit more, but I just like this overall design, and I liked how they had the 3-stripe over here. So year over year, I wish they just didn't make as drastic of a change between last year and this year. All right, last thing we're gonna talk about is price. Now, these are comparable in price to the Nike Vapor Edge Pro 2s and the Under Armour Blur Smoke 2.0s. They're both between the $125 to $140 price point, depending on the colorways and styles you're looking at. But you can find one anywhere in this. Same thing for these. The Speed Juices are like $140, but the baseline team colorway is $130. The Nikes do the exact same thing. So yeah, it's all comparable. There you guys go. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. These are a crazy quick straight line speed cleat that I absolutely love. You just gotta make sure you are very careful if you want to pick these things up for yourself. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. See you next time.